Hey, do you like weird movies? You do? Have you heard of Vinegar Syndrome? Find them online at www.vinegarsyndrome.com. Vinegar Syndrome is one of the leading exploitation and grindhouse preservation and distribution companies in the world. They've got a simple 3-step process that I call the 3 R's: recover, restore, and release. Vinegar Syndrome has an amazingly large film archive consisting of thousands of 35 and 16mm negatives and prints, and are actively finding films that are underappreciated, undervalued, and underseen. So many of their releases have never seen the light of day since VHS, and they're restoring them to all their glory. Some of these films do not have the right to look as good as they do, but they do. I'm looking at you, corpse grinders. Vinegar Syndrome has their own method of restoration where their goal is to recreate the theatrical experience as best as they can. With their own in-house lab, they scan, color grade, and restore each title personally. You'll never see any grain reduction and digital trickery on their discs. Vinegar Syndrome is a very exciting label, and we're proud to have them as a sponsor. They've been with us since the beginning, and we love them for it. Check out their website today and pick up your copies of Rudy Ray Moore's Dolomite films, just in time for the new Netflix movie Dolomite Is My Name, starring Eddie Murphy. Also available is Hell Comes to Frogtown, starring Rowdy Roddy Piper, James Hong's The Vineyard, Pledge Night, Lust in the Dust, starring Divine, Putney Swope, the Amityville Cursed Collection, and much, much more. Also, don't forget to pre-order your copy of Tammy and the T-Rex in glorious 4K Ultra High Definition or Blu-ray, and the Angel Collection. Once again, be sure to visit them at www.vinegarsyndrome.com and grab yourself something cool. Let them know your good friend Michael sent you. Arrow Films is a leading independent entertainment distribution company established in 1991. Operating in the UK, the Republic of Ireland, United States of America, and Canada, Arrow Films is dedicated to supporting upcoming and established filmmakers of dynamic new cinema and developing an inviolable slate of quality films that enjoy a lasting legacy across its award-winning branded labels, channels, and platforms. Arrow Films is also a leading restorer and theatrical distributor of classic and cult horror films, including landmark titles such as the 25th anniversary reissue of Cinema Paradiso, the 15th anniversary reissue of Donnie Darko, and the 30th anniversary reissue of Hellraiser. These lovingly restored films are brought back into cinemas nationwide with brand new look campaigns with wide-reaching distribution, including outdoor event status screenings at various cultural festivals, and as one-off bookings in local repertory cinemas and film societies. Arrow Films is also widely considered to be the global market leader in the premium home entertainment market, fueled by passionate and expert curation, aligned with state-of-the-art in-house film restoration, resulting in highly sought-after bespoke Blu-ray editions of classic, cult, and horror films across its Arrow Video and Arrow Academy branded labels. Beloved by collectors, these ever-expanding brands continue to delight their growing international fan base with regular interactive live events, festival sponsorship, and retail stands presence. Our offering extends to truly limited edition box sets, as well as associated spin-off products, now including books and vinyl records. We are so happy to have Arrow Video as one of our new sponsors. You can find them at www.arrowfilms.com. While you're there, be sure to pick up some cool titles. For example, they have the brand new American Werewolf in London collection, which is beautiful, the complete Sartana collection, Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3, Toys Are Not for Children, a new edition of Al Pacino's Cruising, and let's not forget a limited edition copy of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and a limited edition copy of RoboCop. There's so much more, I can't even get into them all, but trust me when I say they're fantastic, and we couldn't be happier to have them. So once again, visit Arrow Films at www.arrowfilms.com and check out all of their brands from Arrow Video, Arrow Academy, Arrow Films, and Arrow TV.
Today's episode of the Shameless Picture Show is sponsored by Mill Creek Entertainment. Mill Creek is the industry leader when it comes to value-priced DVD and Blu-ray features and compilations. They have one of the largest catalogs out there, ranging from kids programming, classic films and television, independent cinema, documentary, and Latino cinema. Hell, they even produce their own content in-house. Mill Creek is a trusted partner with some of our favorite studios, including Sony Pictures, Walt Disney Entertainment, Warner Brothers, CBS Home Entertainment, and many more. And the best part about Mill Creek is how easy they are to find. Mill Creek has deals with thousands of big box stores, grocery stores, drug stores, and practically any other retailer you can imagine. Trust me when I say I've owned plenty throughout my time as a collector without even realizing it. They're a name I can trust. Some of my favorite releases include Can't Hardly Wait, Night of the Living Dead, House on Haunted Hill from their Vincent Price collection, the complete series of Quantum Leap, the complete series of The Secret World of Alex Mack, and of course, you're the Hunter from the Future. Head over to www.millcreekent.com, that's millcreekent.com, and see what their collection has to offer. I guarantee you'll find something great. So how have you been, Michael?
I've been good.
Usually you
Today's
ask
been a
me, but I
crazy day.
got you.
I know, you're taking the host role. I've been good. Today has been a pretty crazy day. I had the day off of work, and I knew I had to take my mom to... Ooh, look what else Ron has to say. Boom. We can download the video and audio after.
Pew, 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 pew.
I like that. I like, Bob, bring up comments. Bob, bring up comments. But no, I had to take my mom to get a COVID test because she has to have surgery on Sunday, and she has to quarantine herself for a couple of days, obviously.
Well, best
best
wishes to your mom. And
thank you. And I was like, I know this is going to be a kind of a little bit of a bummer of a day. And like last night, I worked all day yesterday and then came home and did an interview with the professional wrestler Derek St. Holmes Esquire.
Nice.
And we talked about cult film, professional wrestling, collector mentality. We talked about a lot, and that's going to be an upcoming episode. And so I was like, I have had no free time to myself. So I went to my buddy Kyle's house, and we watched wrestling for like 2 or 3 hours. Got cousins, and we talked about Vincent Price. And then
his cousin subs.
Yep, I took my mom for a test. I'm doing this. And then since it's our house guest Emma's birthday, I'm making her fudge afterwards. So I've got a busy day.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I don't know if she's watching this, but happy birthday, Emma.
Enjoy your fudge.
Well, once it's made. There is no fudge to be had thus far. Yeah. So how have you been, Nick?
Well, not great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Typically you're just hearing me, but for those of you watching, if you're not familiar with me, I have tremors, and typically they're just in my hands, but it will come and go in my neck a lot. And so those of you watching me now, I look like a bobblehead, but it flares up when I'm really anxious, and with all of this COVID stuff and the kids and work, it's been really tough, and my anxiety has spiked. I had a bunch of anxiety attacks last week, which is new for me. So I say all that to say I'm going back to therapy, and I think it's just a good thing to talk about. And other people
normalizing.
Yes. I never heard, especially men, I've never really heard them talk about going to therapy, and I do know some men that go to therapy, but I just wanted to help break that down a tiny bit for anyone listening. Like, it's okay, and it's really good for me, and I'm excited to go back and hopefully develop some tools to deal with the anxiety to prevent the attacks.
Well, that's good. We as a world, we have to normalize talking about our feelings and talking about when we need help. And since we're being real here, like,
why not?
I want you to take care of yourself, Nick,
Thank
because
you.
I don't think it's a secret that when you took a hiatus from the show, it's because you weren't taking the best care of yourself.
Yep.
And you needed that time to get away and to deal with some stuff. And the hope is that if you're constantly taking care of yourself, that you won't be gone for a while.
Right. And it's so much more important in this time when we are like everybody's normal is disrupted, and we're, you know, it's affecting our lives in different ways, where some people have lost jobs and are having financial difficulties. Like, I've been lucky enough to keep my job, but in order for our organization to remain solvent, it's meant having a for me and the stability and the work-life separation that I need. I'm not getting that right now, and I'm working like I've worked like 7 days a week for the last month straight, and that's insane. Yeah, it's has been part of that equation.
Well, we are gonna get you regulated.
Yay!
Yeah,
regulate me.
Yeah. And, you know, it's like you said, talking about therapy is common. Ron says right here he's all about therapy.
Yes.
So, you know, I think, you know, the more we talk about it, the better. Like, I'm not personally in therapy, but, you know, I know a lot of people who are, and I know how beneficial it is. And I'm sure I could even probably benefit from it. I just, you know, with one person in the family already being in it, you know, we don't necessarily have the money for two. But, you know, I'd rather get people who actually need it at this moment covered.
Right.
Wow, I'm bouncy.
I mean,
trying to get comfortable in this chair.
There's an infinite amount of reasons to go and an infinite amount of reasons not to go. But my hope for those listening is, if you are feeling challenged emotionally, to consider it, to seriously consider it, to not, don't stop yourself from going just because, oh, I don't need that, or oh, I don't have time for that, or I don't know if it's gonna help. Like, think about it. Go talk to somebody a couple times, see if it's, and it does take a couple times to start for the gears to start. Ooh.
No, sorry. I think I'm going to fix the audio issue earlier.
Oh, okay. So anyways, if you're having a hard time, consider it more seriously than you may have in the past. And that's what I had to do to finally go. And it has helped me.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
So there we go.
Yeah, like, while you may not necessarily be feeling good right this moment, you're on the path to feeling good.
And this week has been much better.
And, you know, we're all about positive lifestyles on this show. I've talked openly about how I've had to change things up in my own life. I'm, like, at this point, it's like 75-80% vegetarian that I had to do for health reasons. It's not helped me lose any weight, but I feel healthy.
That's it.
I'm still a big opponent.
Health and weight are two very, very different things. And I think you are gorgeous.
Thank you. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about, Nick, that's important to not our topic?
I mean, outside of society crumbling around us.
Well, there is. Well, funny enough, I don't remember when I did my last live stream. I did it like right after the election results came up, and I started off my movie chat with talking about Biden winning the election, and a buddy of mine jumped on the chat and be like, "Shameless picture show with the scoop."
You need one of those hats with the little tags that say press on it.
Oh man, I was really hoping I could get like the MTV.
This just in.
I was really hoping to get like the MTV news, like doom 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 burst.
And the Shameless Picture Show has called the state of Arizona.
They gotta make a Citizen Kane style movie just about us doing this podcast. Rosebud. Oh, I love that. One day, if they ever make a movie about this fledgling podcast, they're like, what do you want it to be like? Shoot it like Citizen Kane.
I think
make this the Citizen Kane of podcast movies. Damn it!
I think our story is epic enough to warrant that. Yes.
Yeah, like we need the deepest focus that we can possibly get, and shoot it in black and white. And I want to play the role. We can recast Nick, but I want to play me.
Alan Tudyk would be a fabulous Ned Richards, I think.
Actually, I can see that. Like, get me whenever this movie's made, get me the surviving Mankiewicz that can write this script for me. Whichever Mankiewicz is still alive.
I'll take any Mankiewicz you got.
And we gotta dig Greg Toland up and make him shoot it. Get your zombie hands on a camera. Anyways,
so,
we're not talking about a Citizen Kane.
That's how we are.
Here. Yeah, we are here to talk about another movie. So why don't I take a sip of Monster Energy Zero Ultra Zero Sugar for the working man?
I'm going to drink my water. Raina got me, both of us, these 64-ounce Hydro Flasks. They're enormous.
And I like the Shameless Picture Show sticker, which can be yours for as low as a $5 donation to our Patreon.
Yes.
This movie podcast actually discusses movies. Be aware that it may discuss any of the following elements: endings, surprise twists, unexpected cameos, and all manner of spoilers. If this doesn't appeal to you, why listen to a movie podcast? Without further ado, please enjoy our feature presentation, The Shameless Picture Show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Shameless Picture Show.
A live episode.
I am Michael Viers.
What? A live episode.
Yes, hello and welcome to a live episode of The Shameless Picture Show. I am Michael Viers, live and in color. And with me, as always, is a man who's been wearing the same underwear since Tuesday.
Ned Richards. Also, I'm in black and white.
Well, only if you're colorblind. On today's episode of The Shameless Picture Show, we wanted to get in the holiday spirit. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, so Nick chose a film that's not only a Thanksgiving-themed movie, but one that is on both of our shame lists, which is actually very surprising to me. John Hughes' classic, I guess at this point, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Neil Page is a high-level executive on a business trip in New York City right before Thanksgiving and promised his family he'd make it home to Chicago in time for the festivities. Neil booked his flight a little tight, but he's confident he can make it. That is, until he has a slight snafu with a cab, and it's taken by a traveling businessman named Del Griffith. I can't talk. This is only the start of their journey, as we find out both Neil and Del's lives will be intertwined. Neil is uptight and easily annoyed, while Del is aloof and very chatty. Will they ever get home? Will they end up killing each other? Will they ever find a commonality? Written and directed by master craftsman John Hughes, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was his fifth directorial hit in a row and marked a change of tone for Hughes, as he had been known as the teen angst filmmaker up until this point. However, Hughes' fingerprints are all over this script, focusing on the outcasts of the world and how different people, when forced together, can find common ground and understanding amongst themselves. The film was also a critical success and was loved by critics Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, who raved about the performances by John Candy and Steve Martin. The film stars, as said, Steve Martin and John Candy, with a really weird score by Ira Newman, and cinematography by Donald Peterman. From 1987, this is John Hughes' film, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
During holiday travel, some people get delirious. Some get delayed. And some get Del Griffith.
American Light and Fixture, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division.
Neil Page got all three.
I was on my way home to spend a nice holiday with my family. Instead, I'm in a motel bed with a stranger.
So instead of Thanksgiving with his family, he's spending 3 days with the turkey.
Two happy clams just whistling down the road.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the Marconi family.
Paramount Pictures presents
Wilma!
Steve Martin.
Ever been to Hawaii?
Yeah.
You see Don Ho while you were there?
See the second show, that's the best one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
John Candy.
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows. Ah!
in a new film by John Hughes. Planes, trains, and automobiles.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game.
So, Nick, this is on both of our shit lists.
And
oh, hold on. Sorry, you were muted. My mistake.
Okay. And
I unmuted you.
well, thank you. Lord it over me with all of your muting power.
I've got the Oh, good. We have confirmation that the audio did in fact work. Thank you, Dave. Actually, Dave was a sales manager at one of the Best Buys I was helping at. Thanks, Dave.
Well, thanks for joining us. So, as is typical when we watch a film that's on my shame list, I did not take notes. So, if I
didn't take notes either.
If we crash and burn and have nothing to talk about, at least we're not live.
Oh, yeah, good thing, good thing. So, yeah, because I honestly, like, I was kind of in a weird place when I put the movie on. Like, I just wanted something kind of fun and relaxing to watch. I wasn't really in the mood to take notes, and I was like, if this is going to sound really pretentious to me, if this movie is worth conversation, we'll be able to talk about it regardless of notes. And I'm now realizing that was maybe a dumb choice. But anyways, Nick, what did you think of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? And I will say I'm really surprised you hadn't seen this film, because I would have sworn that this would be like a movie you would have loved.
When I was watching it, I had a similar vibe in that, as for those of you listening that don't listen to every episode and haven't heard me and Michael mention it 5 million times, we met at a film festival that we both had projects in, and my film was Normal, which is a road trip comedy, or has a road trip comedy element to it. And so I was seeing some parallels there, and I thought to myself, boy, had I watched this before I made Normal, I would have sworn that Normal was in part inspired by it.
Interesting. I can definitely see the commonalities between your film and Normal. I would never have thought about it, to be honest with you. But, But I don't know why I had such an aversion to seeing this film. It was never that, like, I didn't want to see it. I actually didn't even realize that John Hughes made this film.
Nor did I. And as we've done this show, I find myself repeatedly saying, oh, John Hughes did that too? Like, the man has done every film I've never watched.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so weird because I'm such a big fan of John Hughes' work that it's actually kind of shocking to me how many blind spots there are. Because, like, I've seen his big films, both writing and directing, and I guess technically this is considered a big film. But, like, I've never seen Mr. Mom, which he wrote. I've seen
I didn't know he wrote
National
that.
Lampoon's Vacation.
Yep.
I've seen 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, European Vacation. I've seen Weird Science, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I've now seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I'd seen The Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck, Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, and then some of the stuff later on in his career, not as much. But apparently he wrote Beethoven, which I didn't realize.
Right? Like every movie in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, and it's like, and looking at, I was even thinking, I was like, some of his later films I hadn't seen, but, like, he fucking wrote. He wrote and produced Flubber. He wrote and produced 101 Dalmatians. How did I not know this? He wrote and produced the Miracle on 34th Street remake.
Oh, wow.
He wrote Home Alone 3? Really? Okay. That's rather surprising to me.
So to answer your original question, my original thoughts is this film is a piece of garbage, but only for one reason.
Why is that?
They didn't use an Oxford comma in the title. It's planes, comma, trains, ampersand, automobiles versus planes, comma, trains, comma, ampersand, automobiles.
Interesting. I've always suck with having, I always kind of suck with having when to put a comma after and when not to put a comma after. I use an app on the computer that fixes it. I use Grammarly. It tells me when to put the comma.
To be fair, it's completely grammatically legal to not put a comma there, but is a subsect of grammar nerds that are very pretentious about making sure that second comma goes in, and I'm one of them. And I say it all in jest, like I actually enjoyed the film, but yeah.
This film was bullshit because it didn't use the Oxford comma.
Fuck John Hughes. You use that Oxford comma.
Fuck John Hughes. You think you're a good writer? You don't know how to use the Oxford comma. So kind of harsh, right? So you don't know. John Hughes' widow could be watching this right now and like crying because be like, "Hey, he had the Oxford comma in his draft, but they didn't think it worked as part of the
Franklin Oxford, the creator of the Oxford comma, actually
you nerd.
No, I'm making this up. Actually killed John Hughes' wife's family, and that's why he refused to use it.
I got a fun story about that. Not about Hector Oxford or whatever, but it's more about misspelt titles. So the movie Inglourious Basterds always frustrated the shit out of me because it's so wrong in terms of how it's spelled. I almost said wrongly, and I'm going to comment on someone's spelling.
It is not goodly.
It is not goodly enough. It did not embiggen the spirit of man. But so he claims that was an intentional choice, or that's what they say. People say, "Oh, it's an intentional choice." Maybe it wasn't him, but like everyone's like, "Oh, this is an intentional choice to separate it from the film that he's loosely basing it off of." I read the script. One, the title was handwritten, and there are spelling errors throughout that entire fucking script. So I firmly believe he just misspelled the words, and they're like, "Hey, that's cool. We're gonna keep that."
What's not reverse continuity, but maybe that is the phrase when you like make something make sense after the fact.
I'm trying to get the lighting right on my face.
Filmmakers.
Who are you gonna do?
So my actual thoughts on the film: enjoyable, is funny, in many ways typical John Hughes piece, but it had some really bizarre moments in it that
do tell.
I've never, like, I've always, not that I've gotten into big discussions with people about planes, trains, and automobiles, but all of my experience with it up till this point has been, lighthearted, Steve Martin, John Candy, road trip comedy. Like, that's it. But there are some moments in here that were really strange for me that I haven't quite wrapped my head around. And they tend to come towards the end. One of them, and you mentioned the soundtrack, is when they start looping in Steve Martin saying, "You're messing with the wrong guy."
Oh my God, that was
and
weird.
It starts like you can almost feel him like coming apart at the seams in a way that went beyond the like, "Oh, I'm having a really bad road trip" vibe,
The first time I heard that, they did it in a wide shot, and I was like, did he just see
right?
Because I remember the first time I heard it was when he was wandering around the rental car lot.
Yep.
And they showed a wide shot, I think, and it was like, and
You're
I heard that,
with the wrong guy.
I'm like, who's he threatening? I will say, I really enjoyed the film more than I thought, because I will admit, there, to some extent, and I'm still trying to get over this, I am in a lot of ways still a pretentious movie person, where when a film is recommended to me my entire life, I sometimes have a slight aversion to it. Like, "Oh, you want me to like this film, eh? Well, fuck you." It's like when everyone's like, "Oh, you gotta see Die Hard." Like, I've seen so much of Die Hard that I feel like I've seen it, but I've never sat down to watch it all the way.
Okay.
And now that it's everyone's like, "It's the best Christmas movie."
Oh my God, you gotta see Die Hard.
Like, so it's like, I was like, I'm gonna hold off. And I'll say it now: the people who think Die Hard is the best Christmas movie are just people who are too afraid to admit that they like Christmas movies. Anyways, for me, it's like, I always heard about this film, and I always like John Candy, but this might be a controversial opinion. I've never been blown away by John Candy. It's like he's always really likable.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I feel like I want to hang out with, but I think of like Uncle Buck, which is a film that I grew up seeing. I never liked Uncle Buck as much as everyone else did. And maybe I'd feel different now, because now as an adult, maybe I could see different levels to it. But like for me, like my favorite John Candy movie was like Spaceballs, because it's like, oh, he's funny in that movie.
Because his name's Barf.
Yeah. Seeing this movie and then thinking back to the movie Only the Lonely, I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get why John Candy was such a big deal, because he kind of rode this line of not only being funny, but being real. And I was talking to someone recently. I was talking on my last live episode where I was talking about the movie Big Bully with Rick Moranis and Tom Arnold.
Okay.
And how, not necessarily that setup, but like my favorite type of comedy is a film that, in all intents and purposes, at the beginning of the film is rooted in a real world with real human problems. And then it can kind of devolve and get crazier from there. Starting off completely slapstick, starting off completely in a world or with problems that I can't wrap my head around don't work with me.
Dune.
So that's actually the one thing I really like about John Hughes's world. Any of his films is they start off in a place that feels real and feels that I can relate to. And I think the way that John Candy can ride this level of being annoying in a lot of cases, being funny, and then just kind of yanking your heart out a little bit, is really good. Is great. And we can kind of talk about this as we go on. My biggest complaint with the film is, one, They rectify it near the end. I don't think either character is all that likable, to be completely honest.
No.
John Candy's character Dell is far more likable, but at the same time is still not that likable. And I've been noticing this because I had just watched Weird Science last night into this morning. I broke it up into two, which is another John Hughes film. And John Hughes, I would love to dig deeper into this, has really weird scripting structure.
Okay. I haven't watched enough of his films as a adult who has made films to be able to really weigh in on that.
It's something that I'm just noticing more so now, where there's times in some of it, like let's use Weird Science as an example, where the film feels like it should have ended at a certain point, and then it continues on and has a different wrap up than what's traditionally used.
Sure.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing, it's just unique. Or using Planes, Trains, and Automobiles as an example, Dell's big moment, his big scene where he has You Can't Hurt Me, that heartbreaking scene, is in like the first 30 minutes of the film.
Yeah, yep.
Maybe first 40. I don't remember for sure. It was pretty early in the film.
And then like the bulk, like 80 to 85% of it is where we made some progress on the trip and something goes wrong, and we made some progress on the trip and something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not a lot of plot or emotional development during that time. You get his heartbreaking speech at the beginning, and then at the tail end when it all connects for Steve Martin, that there's more to Dell's story than what he's let on, which makes him go back and say, why are you here? And there's the big reveal about his wife.
Yeah. And actually, I have the scene, that scene pulled up if we
want to let's do it.
Why? What? That's it. If I don't clear my sinuses, I'll snore all night. Gee, if your kid spills his milk, what do? Slap him in the head?
What is that supposed to mean?
You're not a very tolerant person.
Look, you've been under my skin since New York, starting with ripping off my cab.
God, you're a tight ass.
How'd you like a mouthful of teeth?
Oh, and hostile, too. Nice personality combination. Hostile and intolerant. That's borderline criminal.
Screw you. You spilled beer all over the bed. You smoke. You mess up the bathroom.
Well, who let you stay in the room? I even let you pay for it so you wouldn't feel like an intruder, which you most certainly are.
Oh, I'm an intruder.
Yes, you're an intruder. I was having a perfectly nice trip until you walked into my life.
I walked into your life. Who was that who talked my ear off on the plane? Who was that? I'm curious.
Well, who told you to book a room? I did, out of the goodness of my dumb old heart. Boy, you're an ungrateful jackass. Well, go ahead, sleep in the lobby, see if I care. I hope you wake up so stiff you can't even move.
You're no saint. You got a free cab, you got a free room, and someone who'll listen to your boring stories. I mean, didn't you notice on the plane when you started talking, eventually I started reading the vomit bag? Didn't that give you some sort of clue, like, hey, maybe this guy's not enjoying it? You know, everything is not an anecdote. You have to discriminate. You choose things that are funny or mildly amusing or interesting. You're a miracle. Your stories have none of that. They're not even amusing accidentally. Honey, I'd like you to meet Del Griffith. He's got some amusing anecdotes for you. Oh, and here's a gun so you can blow your brains out. You'll thank me for it. I could tolerate any insurance seminar. For days, I could sit there and listen to them go on and on with a big smile on my face. They'd say, how can you stand it? And I'd say, because I've been with Del Griffith. I can take anything. You know what they'd say? They'd say, I know what you mean. The shower curtain ring guy. Whoa. It's like going on a date with a chatty Cathy doll. I expect you to have a little string on your chest, you know, that I pull out and have to snap back. Except I wouldn't pull it out and snap it back. You would. And by the way, you know, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
You want to hurt me? Go right ahead if it makes you feel any better. I'm an easy target. Yeah, you're right. I talk too much. I also listen too much. I could be a cold-hearted cynic like you. But I don't like to hurt people's feelings. Well, you think what you want about me. I'm not changing. I like me. My wife likes me. My customers like me. Because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get.
So that scene is, in all intents and purposes, a pretty phenomenal scene. It just feels very unusually placed because it doesn't. Normally it feels like that scene would go in there, and then they would start finding more commonalities amongst themselves, and they get along for a little bit after that. But all intents and purposes, Steve Martin kind of goes back to being a jerk, and is a jerk to him until their next hotel trip. Realistically, like their next time at a hotel where the big news comes through, and even then, it's like you don't find out. I just feel like a scene with that much weight to it should have come a little bit later in the movie, and some of the other things that they did to kind of find this common ground should have come sooner. If that makes sense.
It makes sense. I don't know that I'd use the phrase "should have." I think okay,
should have the wrong term.
What you're expressing is like that is how it's traditionally done, or that's the setup that we're used to. I don't know.
Yes.
That it's wrong because it did it earlier on in this conversation. You were talking about them not being likable characters, and you know, I'd say they're not particularly likable. They're not particularly unlikable, but more importantly than that, what I would say is they feel
real for that reason.
Very, very real. And this scene really highlights that. It has so much heart because I think any other film, Steve Martin finally like unloads like, you're so annoying. John Candy's character in most films would have reacted with anger. And I think it was so poignant. And, you know, in our intro, we were talking about expressing feelings and being in touch with the emotional side. And yes, John Candy's character is annoying. But and we've all been around people that drive us nuts, that we have to spend time with and listen to them go on, and you're like in your head rolling your eyes like, how much longer do I have to endure this? And Steve Martin is saying what we want to say in those moments. And I liked that they show both their flawed sides and their human, their really good traits as well.
Yeah.
And this is the one where John Candy, of course, really shines, and that's a trait that we should all have a bit more of, because we've all felt excluded. We've all felt like we were the one annoying somebody else too. That's pretty universal. And for him in that moment, to rather than getting angry or leaving or something, he stands up for himself and he says, I liked me. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool. And I think part of the John Hughes magic that makes his stuff special.
Yeah. And actually, like that I felt so much in that scene. Like I give Ira I think Ira Newman's score kind of grief. Ira Newborn, because it's kind of a goofy score, but the musical number they hit in that scene, while maybe a touch heavy-handed, worked so beautifully to accentuate what he's feeling. And I wanted to read a quote for you from a review that Roger Ebert wrote in the year 2000, November 12th, 2000. It was him looking back on Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which he said was not only one of his favorite movies of that year, but it was his family's go-to Thanksgiving film. And he says, sorry, clearing my throat a little bit. One night, and this is Roger Ebert writing this. One night, a few years after Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was released, I came upon John Candy sitting all by himself in a hotel bar in New York, smoking and drinking, and we talked for a while. We were going to be on the same TV show the next day. He was depressed. People loved him, but he didn't seem to know that, or it wasn't enough. He was a sweet guy, and no one had a word to say against him, but he was down on himself. All he wanted to do was make people laugh, but sometimes he tried too hard, and he hated himself for doing that in some of his films. I thought of Del. There is so much truth in the role that it transforms the whole movie. Hughes knew it and captured it again in Only the Lonely, and Steve Martin knew it and played straight to it. The movies that last, the ones that we return to, don't always have lofty themes or Byzantine complexities. Sometimes they last because they are arrows straight to the heart. When Neil unleashes that tirade in the motel room and Del's face saddens, he says, "Oh, I see." It is a moment that not only defines Del's life, but is a turning point in Neil's, because he also is a lonely soul, and too well organized to know it. Strange how much poignancy creeps into this comedy and only becomes stronger while we're laughing.
Yep.
Yeah, like I was struggling to kind of put into words why that scene was so good. And, it's good from a performance standpoint. It's a good scene, but I knew there was something beneath it, and I think the reason I'm resonating so well with this film is because if you were to just Google Planes, Trains, and Automobiles right now, and you'd see some of the really atrocious DVD covers, it makes it seem like a really zany comedy, right. and that element is definitely in this film,
but it's not what makes it special.
Yes, because if it would have been just that film, I would have forgotten about it. But there was something behind John Candy's eyes in that scene, and I saw something in this character that I'd never seen in John Candy as an actor before. And that's, like I said, it's not to say I dislike the man. I just didn't see the magic before until I saw this movie, and now it's starting to make sense to me. Yeah. And it makes me want to go back and reevaluate some of the performances that maybe I overlooked, or like I want to go back and rewatch Uncle Buck and kind of see maybe there was something I was missing when I saw it originally. And for me, it's so fascinating how a role can transform an actor and make you want to reevaluate everything they've done.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I kind of got deep there for a second. And actually, when I was reading those quotes from Roger Ebert, I kind of got goosebumps. Ooh. It's like Roger Ebert is a film critic that is definitely respected, though I don't think he sometimes gets the credit he deserves, and that's kind of his own doing, because he kind of reveled in the last 10 years of his life and kind of he saw that he could be a troll on the internet and decided to be so. But like when he was on his game, few could touch him. He was a really good writer. Yeah. Though I do often agree with Leonard Maltin, who loved this film except for the score. I'm gonna keep making fun of the weird score, and I think it's only accentuated by the fact that Ira Newborn has. I've been well aware of his music, but for some reason it really stuck out in this time because like he did the music in a lot of John Hughes.
I was gonna say
in 16 Candles.
It feels exactly like a John Hughes film soundtrack. This is the same, like that moment with Dell. Like I've heard that same music swell in all of his pieces. Mm-hmm. It's perhaps silly and a little saccharine, but it makes perfect sense in that, it's like saying a Tim Burton film, and like they use the same pieces to build the feel that they're identified by, and the soundtrack fit right in there for me.
Yeah, and what was I think the reason it felt so strange to me is like there doesn't seem to be a melody with a lot of it. It honestly, you watch Bob's Burgers, correct, Nick?
Yep.
I imagine if Gene were to grow up and become a musician, he'd be Ira Newborn. It's like, what happens when I put these sounds together?
Those aren't pillows.
You want some burgers and fries? Talking to you, buddy.
Hey, thumbs up.
Yeah, I got a thumbs up. That's better than a customer.
Cool song, Gene.
Yeah, you guys sound good. I'm digging it.
You happen to be in the presence of child straw prodigies.
We're pretty strawsome. That's awesome, but with straws, strawsome.
We borrow from a lot of genres.
Maybe you guys can use a little wind?
Whoa, you just walk around with that thing?
We were at orchestra practice.
And hey, why make it difficult when you can make it simple?
Are we punning or are we jamming? Oh. Oh. Ah. Ooh.
So, because like he did the score for 16 Candles, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He did the music in Mallrats and like Ace Ventura. Like, so
nice.
He had a shtick. He had a shtick. He also did it in the music in the Naked Gun, one of the Naked Gun films, and like he had a shtick. He had a thing, a style that he did. It just when it worked really well. When it didn't work, it almost felt like the music in this film was the score. Like I feel like they took it's like 5 different scores and put them all into one movie.
There's that kind of about da, 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 kind of bit, and then there's the emotional swell, but that also speaks to kind of the divergent tones that we've identified too, where it is kind of like raucous road trip comedy, but then it'll break for these really like intense emotional scenes that so perhaps that's reflective of the script.
Yeah, and I often wonder, like, and I'm trying not to make this into like I don't like Ira Newborn type of deal, because I do. It's just,
what did he do to you?
I don't know, but I just kept thinking, it's like, oh man, what if this film would have had to say the score of like not the score, but what it. So I think what makes, say, a movie like Home Alone, which was written by John Hughes, works so well is it has a really well-balanced score by John Williams.
Yeah.
I often wonder, it's like, would have Home Alone worked with a different score? And then I often wonder, it's like, I wonder what Planes, Trains, and Automobiles would have been like if John Williams would have composed it or something. But
both
enough,
featuring John Candy in an airport.
Yeah, and actually, I was noticing a lot of simulators between Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and Home Alone. Yeah. I think the house that Steve Martin lives in looks a lot like the house from Home Alone.
It is a different house, but they look nearly identical.
Even like the inside,
yep.
I know in my
that
head
she descends at the end,
and I know that was a set. But like I kept thinking, I was like, man, this looks like the same staircase that Kevin rode a sled down. It has a lot of the same cast members. I feel like the red-haired lady from the marathon car rental scene, who's also in Ferris Bueller. I feel like she was in Home Alone, and yeah, there was just a lot of funny similarities, and I was like, oh, I can see how, you know. I kept wondering, is like, were they written around the same time?
Right.
I don't know. I was trying to like put that together because
I want to say they were. Home Alone was 1990, I believe.
Yeah, 90, 91, but I don't know when they were written.
That's true.
Because like technically, if we're talking about like when things were written, John Hughes was going to direct Breakfast Club first.
Yeah.
But the studio didn't know if he could handle something so heavy on his first time out, so he knocked out 16 Candles and be like, "Yeah, I'll do this first." I don't know what John Hughes sounds like. Nah, I wrote 16 Candles.
See?
Aren't you happy? John Lovett's playing John Hughes, I think is what I was just doing.
You know what I was as we were talking about your mom in the beginning of this, and I was remembering I
don't know why that struck me as so funny. We're talking about your mom.
My beloved, or you know, it received some critical acclaim from the audience. My impression of your mom, where she is for some reason really Jewish.
A Jewish mom, yeah.
Instead, I could have just gone really Milwaukee, but
let's go get some old styles. So, anyways, going back to what we're talking about, like the structure of the film is definitely unique, different. But while it's not traditionally the way these structures work, I ultimately think it worked in the film's benefit.
Yeah.
Because like just thinking about the way that this movie is written, I can't personally see a way they could have put I can't figure out a place they would have put Del's "I Like Me" sequence anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like a moment that could have happened later on in the film. I just don't know where.
And I think if they pushed it later, then Del would have seemed more annoying and less likable. I think by putting that earlier in the film, from that point on, the audience cuts him more slack.
Yes, and that's
which gives
kind of what I'm thinking.
Steve Martin a chance to because it's framed from Steve Martin's perspective. So you kind of, and he's dealing with this annoying person. And I think if you push that later, then it turns into more of a, what about Bob? Kind of like where it's more grinding the whole time.
And while I love What About Bob, it's a very different style of movie because, you know, you don't have that scene that makes you like the characters. And like is as much as the "I Like Me" scene is definitely a favorite amongst a lot of people, I really, and once again, we're spoiling things, so if you've not seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I apologize. The scene where Del is sitting in his car in the middle of the snow and he's talking to his wife.
Oh yeah.
And you're sitting there wondering, like, is she dead? Did she leave him?
Right,
is he just talking to her because he needs someone to relate to? Like, I feel like they did a fantastic job of trickling in that information without showing their hand too early. Because like, even when I was talking to Amanda, and she's like, oh, when all set in that his wife was gone, she's like, that's why he carries her picture everywhere. I thought it was sweet before, but now it breaks my heart. And I was like, I know, this is so sad.
Yeah.
Why am I crying during Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
His line when he's sitting outside in the car at the second motel, it ends with a line, and I'm gonna paraphrase, but something to the effect of, "Oh, but you can't do that anymore, can you?" Where and it could very much be that she left him, or that he's on the road so much that he hasn't seen her in a long time.
That was one way I potentially took it.
And that's kind of what he says in that diner scene too, when he's kind of caught up in his own lie about it. It's like, well, you know, I've been on the road. It feels like, you know, forever. I have, So you start to understand that he's having these feelings of distance from his wife, but you don't know why until Steve Martin comes back at the end and confronts him.
Well, Marie, once again, my dear, you were as right as rain. I am, without a doubt, the biggest pain in the butt that ever came down the pike. I meet someone whose company I really enjoy. What do? I go overboard. I smother the poor soul. I cause him more trouble than he has a right to. God, I got a big mouth. When am I ever gonna wake up? I wish you were here with me right now. But I guess that's not gonna happen. Not now, anyway.
Yeah. Which that sequence is hysterical to me because the train they literally showed in reverse. Made even better, but there's a person walking under the L train and he's walking.
I did not notice that.
Because I was thinking, wait, how is the train coming back? Because it left that direction.
Right?
There's no way
isn't
it
the
could
L?
come back.
Was that the L, or was that the M track?
I'm sorry.
I
thought it was the.
I thought it was, and I thought I'm not a downtown Chicago guy, but I thought the L ran in a loop versus back and forth. Anyway.
I do know 100% that train was going first because there was a person walking backwards, doing the Bigfoot walk. It's kind of great. And then I will say it's I sometimes with older comedies, sometimes things aren't as funny as they probably were in the 80s, if that makes sense, or in the 70s. But I will say I don't think I've seen anything this year that was as funny as the we're going the wrong way sequence. Yes. When he
on one of my notes.
The devil. Yeah, when he turns into
the and I've seen that was the only part of this film that I had seen before was that sequence, and there have been things that I've seen that were clearly influenced by that. So like
what?
The film Dirty Work, Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang.
Okay. I've seen that
movie. They go do a science experiment, kind of get paid for us to experiment on you, and they eat brownies, and then they're driving later, and Artie Lang's like, I think I feel a slight itch, and then it pans over to Norm Macdonald in the driver's seat of the car, and he's all red and shaking and freaking out, and he looks over, and rather than Artie Lang sitting in the passenger seat, it's Adam Sandler dressed as the devil. And there's flames behind him, and I think the line is, "We eat the pig, and then together we burn." It was very reminiscent of turning and looking to see first they're skeletons, and then they're back to normal, and then they cut back, and it's John Candy in the devil outfit. Well,
yeah,
and that car too, the other car, where the husband and wife, I'm assuming it's husband and wife, are yelling everything in unison. And at first it's okay, you're going the wrong way. You're going to kill somebody. Where it's unrealistic that they both would have said that in unison. And when they peel their fingers out of the dashboard, it's just, the rest of it is typical, kind of like you said, 80s,
they don't get along and everything. But that is so
comedic brilliance.
It rode the line too for the entire movie leading up into that point of where you're there's it's absurd and comedic, but in a comic booky way,
right?
And when that happens, like I said, especially this sequence here, when I saw John Candy as the devil, I nearly pissed my pants because I feel like I'd seen that clip before, but out of context, it's not nearly as funny as the build up going to that point. Come on, even just his face right there. It's killing.
Well, and they say when the car tells them you're going the wrong way, and their reaction is, "They're crazy. How would they know where we're going?" Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Okay. Thank you.
And then, like, what makes that scene so great is not only are they going the wrong way and they have all that stuff happen with the car, but then at the very end, like the payoff of the cigar or the fire in the back seat, because like the entire time's like, man, it's like, it's smoking in the back seat. It's like, I know they haven't even discovered that yet.
Well, and then that leads up to another moment of like of Del screwed him over again by renting the car with his card.
Yeah, how do you break a car seat? It can't be done.
You broke the seat.
I suppose we shouldn't ask on a day like this, but wondering where the idea for all this came from and how you chose John and Steve.
This actually happened to me. I left Chicago for New York for a one-day trip, planning to come back that night, and ended up in Wichita and got home 5 days later. So that's where the idea came from.
Really? You never told me that.
Well, it just never came up.
Really? Why would that never come up? I don't get it.
John and Steve, just wondered if you could tell us what it was that attracted you to the project.
Want to go first?
The script. The script immediately.
You read the script and you laugh and you go, yes. There were two scenes that made me really want to do it. The scene at the rental car and the scene in the car with John where he's adjusting his seat. That whole sequence I just thought was great. I think any actor, comedian especially, is really interested in good scripts. And when this kind of talent comes along, like it took me 2.5 years to write Roxanne, it took me 3 days to write Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Or 4, or did it go into 5? This guy's the fastest writer in the world.
When I first read it, it was like, finally, oh my God. So I was laughing, I was crying, it was just so brilliant. It was as if I wrote it myself, and my lawyer's working on that now.
For some reason, that entire like car sequence was like, for me, the funniest part of this film.
I love how when I was watching it, Raina was doing some baiting, so she'd pop in and watch for a few minutes and then go back. And at some point, she's like, "When was this made?" And and she's like, "Did they not?
1987.
Did they not have car rental places back then? Because that seems like that." And like 5 minutes later, they went to the rental car place. That was after the train and the bus and the...
My favorite. I love that when they're like trying to figure out like, okay, the airplane's not going to work, and logically, I feel like everyone would be like, well, go rent a car,
Right.
and they're like, trains. Like, and I'm thinking, oh, this must be the 80s because no one's instinct is trains anymore. I don't even know if it was in the 80s,
Right.
but I feel like it was far more than it is now. But no, like this film looks like did a great job of just like building up to that point where it felt earned.
Yeah.
Like the insanity of that scene, and because it wasn't doing it frequently throughout.
Yeah.
And like that's just personal preferences for me. It's like I try to think. It's like I guess I try to think of like I enjoy movies that I can wrap my mind around how I could write it. I'm not a big zany comedy guy, so I think if I'm going to sit down and write a comedy, it's like, what's all these crazy situations? No, it's like, for me, it's like, okay, what's the story? What am I trying to tell? And then, maybe I can have a really crazy moment somewhere in the middle of the film. But like, ultimately, while there's not a lot of plot to this film, the story is pretty simple. These two guys who don't like each other, who have a common goal of getting to the same place. I also kind of like the idea that John Candy's been on the road for so long that when he started, you could actually make a living selling shower curtain rings.
Even in an airport or where, I forget where they were at this point, a bus depot or something, like he was selling them his earrings and shit to make some extra cash.
Yeah, I know. I was like, man, he probably would have gotten me to buy some shower curtain rings.
The man's a born salesman.
Another Home Alone connection I just remembered was the old guy on the airplane who was sleeping on Steve Martin's shoulder. He's the same old guy from the airport in Home Alone who's like, my wife has earrings.
Oh, really?
Nice
Dangling a whole shoebox full.
Come on, Irene, they're boarding.
Oh, this gal has offered us 2 first-class tickets if we go Friday. Plus a ring, a watch, a pocket translator, $500, and...
The earrings, you love the earrings.
She's got her own earrings, a whole shoebox full of them, dangly ones. Come on.
No, but...
Dangly ones. I always remember the way he says dangly. I want to be that old guy that gets hired to like say dangly. I don't know.
I think what that really in that scene we were talking about where the car ends up in flames because.
Oh, you mean
that one
scene?
right there? Because so much of the film is just Hey, Michael, let me ask you: was John Candy ever the devil in this film?
Oh, I don't know. This devil. Like this new capabilities.
We're having fun with our toys. Because so much of the film is kind of the same repetition of they make some progress and then something happens, and then they make some progress and annoy each other and then something happens. I think what that really intense comedic scene did was allow for like afterwards this kind of deep breath and reset. Because otherwise I think it would have just felt very monotonous.
Yes, because like after that scene, when they get to the next hotel and Dell doesn't have enough, we have that great moment where like he's like, I've got a Casio, where he doesn't have the money for a room that he sleeps out in the car, and like you could tell that obviously there's still friction between them because Neil doesn't let him into the room right away. But that is the scene where they spend enough time relating to each other. I feel like they actually have a real conversation, and Neil has that line where he's like, "Oh, you really love your wife, don't you?" And he's like, "Love's not a big enough word."
Yeah. They also have the Steve Martin's it's a bit of a throwaway line, but I think it's really important for his character. I feel like I'm at summer camp. That's Steve Martin kind of realizing that it's just not about all of his annoying things. Like it's his recognition that they're going through something together.
Yeah, and I also think I took that line as well as not only just that, but that this is the first time in a long time that Steve Martin's character has gotten a chance to escape his life.
Yeah.
Not to say he doesn't like his life, but he has a really stressful job. He seems like he's away from his family a lot. He's always on a rush, and while he's kind of in a rush to get back home, it's definitely at a slower pace. And, he's not had a chance to really get to know someone.
I know what I was going to bring up. That second motel, I actually grew up around where that location is, the El Rancho.
That's a real place?
That is a real place. It is either in or just north of Gurnee, Illinois.
Does it still look like that?
Like the last time I was in Gurnee, which was probably 20 years ago now.
Holy shit.
It's that
I live close to that.
Yeah, yep.
You should get me the address, and I'm gonna go and take some shameless pictures of me staying outside of being.
If it's still there, yeah.
I don't know what that face was like.
But I used to pass it all the time.
That's awesome. And I bet that was kind of a cool moment. It's like, hey, I used to pass it all the time.
Totally.
And this place meant nothing to me until just now.
Well, I knew, I had heard that it was, that's the motel from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So I kind of knew that it was coming.
Okay.
Oh. Sorry, I bumped my mic.
When they went to the first motel, were you like, that's not the place?
I was like, it was more of, is that it? Is that it? And then once I saw it's that sign, that Starburst sign and the El Rancho, it's like, that's the one.
Cool. Yeah. What else is on your notes, Nick? For a person who didn't take any notes, you also have a lot of
I was
notes.
taking them as we were watching the clips. I'm like, and I want to make sure I mention that. The other thing goes back to what I said at the very beginning about kind of I don't think the film gets enough credit for being as weird as it is. Like the other...
No one talks about the weirdness.
The weirdest, most unsettling part of the film for me was actually the ending.
Do tell.
When they finally get back to Steve Martin's home...
Oh, yes.
And the wife descends the staircase, and it's that weird soundtrack again. And she's like ethereal in a weird way and hello. And they introduce her to Dell and he's like, hello. Like, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if a sequel ever...
Hello, Mrs. Page.
Right. If a sequel ever came out, it's of like Dell and this dude's wife like running away together. Like it was so weird for no reason. That scene
I kept thinking,
it was so
and, like,
weird.
Not even thinking just like try to be funny, but I was legitimately thinking, it's like, okay, he's a traveling salesman. Has he been here?
Right. The
and it's not like, you know, a situation where they could be like, oh, you know, Neil has told me so much about you. It's like, I don't think they've even ever spoken on the phone other than how much he had like. And the wife has so little to do in this film. They just kind of cut back to her to show her alone in bed. And she's so expressionless that, like, I don't even feel like she's necessarily missing the fact that her husband's not here. I kept thinking, it's like, man, you guys could have cut 10 minutes out of the movie if you would have just cut the wife out, to be honest, because she's not adding anything. And then that final scene is just, like, yes, now I want to see more planes, trains, and automobiles and see, like... and find out what that relationship is, because it makes no sense to me.
I think that it was supposed to be this, like, where this journey is finally over. We're all finally home. We've invited this. Now we know Dell's issue and he's been invited. And I think it was supposed to be this big relief moment, but it didn't end up playing like that. It just ended up playing super awkwardly. And I think you're right. Maybe some of it was that the wife storyline never really turned into anything. Like, I was, every time he would try and call her or they'd talk, I was trying to figure out, like, is she mad at him? Did they have a troubled relationship? Does she just miss him? Like, it didn't.
I couldn't figure out any of it, because, like, I feel like you could have easily said any of those things and would have felt correct, because she wasn't reacting. It's like Alfred Hitchcock one time did an experiment where he showed an actor, you know, he was showing the power of film editing.
Okay.
By showing an actor who is just expressionless. He's just sitting there like this. And he showed them and asked people, you know, what is he thinking? And they're like, oh, he's not expressing anything. And then he'd show them, you know, and he'd show different audiences this. You know, one audience he'd show the actor and then juxtapose with some food, and then an actor juxtaposed with a woman, and an actor
he's hungry, he's horny,
coffin. Yeah,
he's dying,
and it's like, and they're all saying that, like, he's expressing these emotions that he wasn't. It was the same picture every single time.
Now the third way is what one might call pure cinematics, the assembly of film, and how it can be changed to create a different idea. Now we have a close-up. Let me show what he sees. Let's assume he saw a woman holding a baby in her arms. Now we cut back to his reaction to what he sees, and he smiles. Now what is he as a character? He's a kindly man. He's sympathetic. Now, let's take the middle piece of film away, the woman with the child, but leave his two pieces of film as they were. Now we'll put in a piece of film of a girl in a bikini. He looks, girl in a bikini, he smiles. What is he now? The dirty old man. He's no longer the benign gentleman who loves babies. That's the difference. That's what film can do for you.
Or you for it, as it were.
And I call it the Ryan Gosling effect. I love Ryan Gosling, because I like to poke fun at him.
But I love that video of people trying to feed Ryan Gosling food.
Yes, me too. Yeah. But, like, I that's what I honestly kept thinking about the wife's story is, like, you know, we are adding more to the film, to her character than the film is, then juxtaposed of what happened around that time. Like, I get the feeling based on Steve Martin's character that maybe they're having problems and that he's not around as much, and so I'm kind of adding that to the character, but she's giving us nothing to go off of. And like even just when we were watching back on that clip of Dell's scene, am I boring
No,
you, sir?
I am exhausted.
When we were cutting back to that scene of Dell's big moment, and they cut back to her twice in that 6-minute clip of her just laying in bed and watching TV.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Why is this needed?
What are you feeling right now, lady? Show me some food so I understand.
Yes. And then like we got to see his daughter once, and she was like doing a performance or whatever, and it's like this feels like strange structure, strange editing to me. There might have been a reason, I just can't figure it out.
The son was one of the Lawrences. I think Matthew Lawrence.
Probs.
Yeah.
Probs.
It's like how Jake Gyllenhaal plays a young son in City Slickers. I love those.
Holy shit, that is Jake Gyllenhaal.
When he's at the party and like shows him popping his shoulder out of its socket.
Elijah Wood is in
Back to the Future 2. Yep. You mean you have to use your hands? That's like a baby's toy. I love those little,
I know, I do too, especially when they're like, like, oh, that's a big name actor now. But no, ultimately, other than like those weird little quirks, like I really like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and I can see it being a film that I return to. And I can see for people who probably grew up with this film why it's definitely comfort food for some.
Well, it has heart.
And it's honestly, and that's what John Hughes does so well. The man can write dialogue like no one's business. And even now, when I go back and watch some of his films, and while some of his films have not aged the best, some of them are
16
kind of
Candles
problematic in some ways.
Sorry,
yes,
I have a candle in my throat.
And I still kind of have a soft spot for that film, despite when I watch it, it's like, oh, this is cringy.
I actually have not seen it. It's on my list.
Well, I would recommend it. However, the way I would describe it is for everything really good he does in that film, he does something equally as not good. And in the 80s, it probably wouldn't have been you wouldn't bat an eyelash at it, but it's even like when I just rewatched Weird Science. It's still one of my favorites of his films. I just have to accept the fact that it's very much of its time. Right. It's two nerdy kids who can't get a date, so they make a woman through their computer that is the living embodiment of sex for them.
I actually, though, I only saw the film once when I was young. I grew up on the Weird Science TV show.
TV show?
Yes.
I loved that show. I don't remember if it was any good, but
I'd be really interested to revisit it.
It's Weird Science is a perfect example of like some of these themes are kind of questionable, but one, the dialogue is extremely well written, it's all well acted, and there is kind of a nice sweet message in the end. And that's 16 Candles the same way, Pretty in Pink. Like, I love his films, but I have to acknowledge the fact that they are not necessarily of our time.
Yeah.
But, he redefined the genre, and I think that's why Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is actually kind of a big deal, because here's a man who had 5 successes in a row. Like I said, once again, first film he directed was 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, and then Weird Science. That's a hell of a 3-hitter right there. He wrote Pretty in Pink, didn't direct it. He then directed Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He had 3 to 4 films right there, all based around... Yeah, based around Ferris Bueller. No, he had, these films based around the lives of teenagers, and what he did so well with those films is that he'd collaborate with the teenagers he's making these films with so they feel authentic. And then here he comes with this movie with a string of movies that are definitely more embodiment of adults. And being an adult now, like, I resonated a lot with this film because I can get a lot of the frustrations that they're feeling.
Yeah.
He did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. He then did She's Having a Baby, and then Uncle Buck. Like, it's like he went from this quadrilogy of teen movies to then like, I want to now explore what it's like to be an adult.
I liked what you had...
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I liked what you had said. I didn't necessarily pick up on it, but I felt it in subconsciously, and I thought it was really poignant when we were talking about his line about this feels like summer camp. As an adult, as a parent with a career, like, until COVID hit and everything got disrupted, where it's still the same things, just different. Like, your life kind of becomes this daily cycle of doing the same things over and over and over again. And so that feeling of, as chaotic as this trip was, it was something different. And I had to forge through it with somebody new, and I had to work with somebody that I've never worked with before. Like, that resonated with me when you said that, I started to lose my train of thought and don't know how to wrap up that idea, but I thought that was really poignant of you to pick up on that.
Thank you. So was there anything else you wanted to talk about planes, trains, and automobiles? Or if the one person who's watching live currently has anything to say that they want me to flash on the screen?
They're like, made your show shorter.
Fuck you.
Never. We'll never make it shorter. No, I think that's kind of, that's all my notes. I trust them all off.
I almost feel like I want to go through John Hughes's filmography and try to pick up on these trends, because it's interesting, the films he chose to direct versus the ones that he just wrote.
Okay.
Like Home Alone, it definitely has his fingerprints all over it, but it's very different than the films that he chose to direct. And it's interesting, after Uncle Buck, which is 1989. He hadn't directed another film until the movie Curly Sue in 1991, and then he never directed again.
Huh. I'd be interested to know if there's any kind of connection or intention, appreciation, or otherwise of John Hughes for Kevin Smith. Because you mentioned the soundtrack piece, and then in Dogma, there's the line about how Selma Hayek's character inspired 19 of the top 20 grossing films of all time. Except for the one where the burglars get in and the boy and had nothing to do. Yeah. It was a piece of shit, had nothing to do with it. Now that I'm saying some of these references within, the Red Bank films, I wonder if there's more to that or what the deal is.
I can definitely tell you that yes, he did. He does have a huge fondness for John Hughes, to the point where John Hughes is even thanked in Mallrats. Okay. And I only know that because I just rewatched Mallrats. I got a review copy of it for one of our sponsors, nice. So I just rewatched it. And obviously Ira Newborn scores Mallrats, but no, Kevin Smith has talked quite a bit on his podcast about the emotional weight that John Hughes and his oeuvre of work has put on his own writing, where he found that, hey, you can write something that's funny and relevant, but also has heart to it. It doesn't have to just be a one-note thing, because in a lot of ways, John Hughes redefined, or even defined, invented the teen drama as we know it. And Kevin Smith has talked a lot about, really respecting and looking up to the man. And I know, I think he interviewed John Hughes' wife at one point for his podcast, and he really respected the fact that John Hughes pretty much said that when at one point he wanted to retire from Hollywood and just spend the rest of his life planting trees. And Kevin Smith really just loved that. And no, he definitely has a fondness for his work.
Cool.
I don't want to speak for the man, but I've heard him talk about this subject enough
to weigh in on it. Yeah. And they're both filmmakers that have a real ear for dialogue.
Yeah, and I can almost see, not necessarily in Clerks, but in movies like Mallrats, movies like Chasing Amy, I can see the John Hughesian effect that he had on him.
Chasing Amy also is one that is a product of its time that, viewed from today's lens, is pretty problematic in the same way that John Hughes.
There's still some good stuff in that. I just rewatched that film this year too. There's some good stuff still in that film, but a little cringy. It was my favorite for the longest time. and it's still a really good film to an extent. But he doesn't mean any harm.
And I think that's true of, and the path to hell is paved with good intentions. But but really, it's about us evolving and understanding these things more.
And if you just think about it, like John Hughes, like where he's from and his characters are said, yeah, he's from Chicago. He's an Illinois boy, but he comes from the ritzy suburban area of
North
Chicago. Yep, and then he also like he grew up Republican, and granted, Republican in the 80s was
right. Yeah, the Reagan Republicans.
Or like I think the way that it was been described to me is they were in a lot of ways like socially liberal, but very fiscally conservative. Where they weren't like, we're not even gonna get on. But
politics.
He's not a Republican in the way that they are necessarily today. But a lot of his view of the world came from where he grew up, and probably the same way with Kevin Smith. Like Kevin Smith, I almost feel like probably had not met many gay people growing up in a small town in
Red Bank,
in New Jersey. I know his brother is, and I think one of his friends is, but I don't want to speak for the man, but like John Hughes, like and some of his racier humor or his some of his homophobia in 16 Candles was unfortunately very par for the course in the 80s, where it was not uncommon to call someone the F word.
Right. Well, and
it's like
I think a lot of at least from the Chasing Amy part where you're best of intentions, I think it's a really strong example of why we need better representation when it comes to writers and directors telling their story. Like Chasing Amy is a perfect example of a straight person trying to write a story about gay people. Mm-hmm. Like it's not, especially back then, there's I think a broader understanding now, if you take the opportunity to pay attention and learn and listen. It was harder 30 years ago. But we need to give people of color sexual orientation, like they need to tell their stories. That ain't for us. That's not to say that we should be writing whitey mixed straight male, like that we need.
Damn, you guessed the title of my next film.
Whitey mixed straight male. But be better advocates. Listen.
Yeah. I think that's kind of a perfect way to end.
There we go. Listen up.
Yeah.
Where's my finger going?
Before we wrap up for this episode, like I said, I don't know if this is coming first, if this is coming second. I have a topic episode already recorded. I have this. They're both going to be pretty stretching it to try to get them out by the end of November. I'm just going to throw that out there now. But we also do have a Christmas episode planned. Technically, two Christmas episodes. I don't know if we're going to get to both of them. We can definitely try. I might need your help editing one of these episodes if we want to fit those other two episodes in. Do you want to talk a little bit about what our Christmas plans are, Nick?
So,
because they're your ideas.
The topic episode, kind of excited about. We kind of hinted at it a little bit as we brought up Die Hard. This is
fuck Die Hard.
A conversation that I tend to have in my circles annually around this time is what defines a Christmas film. Is Die Hard a Christmas film? Very nice. Is It's a Wonderful Life a Christmas film? Is Miracle on 34th Street a Christmas film?
What makes a Christmas
what is it that makes something a Christmas film? So Michael and I are each going to bring 5 films to the conversation, and we're just going to have a brief little conversation on each about where we feel it fits on the spectrum.
Yep. And it's not necessarily we're not necessarily trying to go for like, deep dive type things. We're just trying to bring like, it could be a film that is traditionally considered a Christmas film and be like, is it a Christmas film and why? And that ties into the movie we're going to dissect in December. Nick?
I don't remember what we said.
You had wanted to do Meet Me in St. Louis.
Yes, yep. I totally remembered that.
And I was like, why aren't we doing the Brady Bunch?
A Very Brady Christmas.
I still have not watched it. I've been waiting. I've been holding off every year. But like, oh, is this going to be the year I watch A Very Brady Christmas? And
maybe next year.
I'm gonna make a nice cup of tea in the Brady Bunch mug you gave me.
Yay!
But no, we're gonna watch Meet Me in St. Louis, which most people are like, the fuck is that? One, it's a musical starring Judy Garland, and people who know what the movie are probably like, the fuck is that a Christmas movie? And that's part of our topic.
Of the discussion.
Is it a Christmas film? Because there is a very prolific Christmas sequence in that film.
I know of the film through a film that we've already discussed for a Christmas episode, The Family Stone. And there's a moment on Christmas Eve where one of the adult daughters, is up late, all bundled up. One of her sisters asleep next to her, and she's watching Judy Garland sing, I think, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, whatever song she sings then. And they have a quick little, I love this film kind of conversation before they all go to bed for the night. And it feels really Christmassy, but I've only seen that tiny little moment.
So that's what we're gonna do. So, and then obviously, what we ask of you is if there's anyone listening or watching who they have Christmas films they want us to talk about
and weigh in,
bring them to the table. Yeah, we'll probably do that topic episode live.
Ooh,
because this has been it's been a lot of fun.
Yes,
and it was easy to do, and we have technically like 20 hours a month for free on StreamYard. And we don't do this that often, so that'll be easy. So I think that'll be a fun episode. We got to do a little bit of work, and you guys will hear from us very soon. Right. So, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Do we have 2 words? For people?
I sure hope so. Well, let me throw out a guess as to what those 2 words would be. Is it watch movies?
Yeah.
We'll sync it up in post.
Oh, it'll work. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
End broadcast.
The Shameless Picture Show is recorded in Milwaukee, Wisconsin and Easton, Maryland, is hosted and produced by Nick Richards and Michael Viers, and is more often than not edited by Michael Viers. Any TV or YouTube versions of the show to date have been edited by Nick Richards, Tyler Hanna, or Dina Villani. Our opening theme music was written especially for us by The Directionals, with narration from Zach McLean. The end credit music you're enjoying at the moment was generously provided by my friends in the band 10 Speed, and our new kick-ass logo was designed by Amanda Viers. A special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters and to our generous sponsors at Mill Creek Entertainment and Vinegar Syndrome. We are on Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Google Play, and Libsyn. You can find links to all these tremendous folks, as well as the show, in the description below. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe.